Give me two players who you're rocking with no matter what, and you don't care about the narrative, what people have to say about them,
Hmm.
maybe even their production at times. Who give me two players who you're rocking with no matter what, bro.
I'm gonna change it up a little bit. I spoke heavy on Jokic. He's obviously my favorite player, so I think it's probably known, by you and I at least that I'm rocking with him no matter the narrative.
And it's pretty
I'm
easy to
backing
rock with
him.
him right now, too. If we're being
Yeah,
clear, he's the champion.
I'm backing my guy. But I think I spoke enough on him.
Okay.
Um, Bro, I'm gonna go with a guy named Brandon Ingram.
Aye.
He
Aye,
last
you shot me with this one.
last 3 years, he's he really opened my eyes a little bit to his game, and we saw him do it, glimpses and hints that he was going to be a good player. I think he's still working out some inconsistencies, but and health is a major player as well. But dude, he's got it all. He's super talented. I just think it's going to be up to him how good he wants to be.
Okay.
Um, and that the sky's the limit, really. I mean, he's getting to that. I think he's about 26, 27. I think he's about a year younger than me. We were in the same class, but I've kind of always kept up with his game a little bit. So, um, yeah, dude, he's a dog. He's a dog. I just think that, a lot of people see New Orleans. I don't think they get enough credit, but I think he's a driving force on that team. Him and Zion are obviously the two alphas on that team.
Okay.
But I rock with him, bro. I think I told you before. I mean, he's like a hybrid to me of Kobe and KD. You know what I
That's
mean?
a
That's high
hot.
praise. That's
That's a
high praise,
hot.
bro.
That's a hot take, bro. And when you told me this, because me and Matt, we go back and forth. We love the NBA so much. We go back and forth and talk. When you said that to me, and we were watching the Pelicans, I forgot who we were watching them play at that time, and
Hmm.
he was having a really good game. I thought about it and I said, okay, I like the comparison. I still got to think about it. I
Hmm.
like that take though, in terms of because obviously, if you're saying BI, right? He's thin and lanky like KD, right?
Hmm.
So he has the long limbs. His jumper is high over, so he shoots over a lot of players. Not the 3-point shooter that KD is. He's not the shooter in general that KD is, but he's still a tough shot maker. And then his game specifically, I think it has some Kobe-esque
Hmm.
attributes to it where he has the turnaround jump shot in the post, right? He can get to the basket and finish over the top. I don't know if he's necessarily the finisher in terms of layups like Kobe, but he has the mid range pull up. He has the pull up 3-pointer. So I saw where you were getting at with that, where you could say Bi is kind of like a mixture of Kobe and KD in
Hmm.
some way or form. Um, I like that though. You kind of shocked me with that pick. So what narrative do you think he faces that may be a negative thing against Brandon Ingram? Like what's a narrative
Yeah,
you think he has against him?
bro. What I've heard, is lazy, doesn't take the game as serious, maybe as he should. Very passive at times.
Mhm.
But bro, the eye test for me, at least, is kind of, that's kind of what I base it off of. And with him, bro, when once he got to New Orleans, and I saw his game progress throughout the past 3.5 years. Um, I saw him operate at that mid range, bro. I saw him kind of get surgical with it. Um, you
He
know,
is surgical with it, boy.
bro,
He's
he
surgical with it.
pump fakes. You know what I mean? He's got the footwork. I watched the podcast with him about a year ago. And he said he was watching MJ footage like throughout the whole summer. I think he's very quiet in the media. A lot of times, quiet superstars don't get. I think historically they just
They
people
can
always.
get overlooked. They can get overlooked.
Yes, yes, and people question them, right? Because they're not in the spotlight. They're not emotional dudes that we know in the court. They're not, maybe they don't come off as the leaders that we think they should be. But I think he has all those intangibles. I think that he's obviously talented. The question isn't his talent. So I mean, we'll see. But I'm rocking with him, bro. And he's a guy I forget I rock with sometimes. You know what I mean? But it's weird. Like, well, you when you ask me that question, I'm like. I rock with him, bro, and I defend him. And
Yeah,
I know you like that squad too. So I'm
yeah,
curious.
and I think, and I'm glad you brought him up, right? Because it's going to lead into I'll give one of my favorite players that I rock with, no matter and he has a huge narrative against him. But to put a cap on I like that. One thing that I learned about him from his personality in terms what I learned from that JJ Redick interview from his podcast, The Old Man in the Three, I learned how much of a hooper he is, how much of a student of the game he is, and how much he cares about winning, right?
Mhm.
And like you said, a lot of times with guys similar to Kawhi Leonard, who's my favorite player, the guys who are quiet and not as energetic on the court, I think as fans, we kind of sometimes, if you're not following them closely, you may think that they don't care about the game as much when it's quite literally the opposite. And even
Mhm.
JJ Redick, who was a teammate of BI's on the Pelicans at one time, he always gave glowing reviews of BI and his preparation and his work ethic. So I think I like that. I like that one. That's going to
Mhm.
lead into my favorite player, one of my favorite players to watch, and somebody who I rock with no matter the narrative, and he has a lot against him. Some justified, but it's Zion Williamson, bro.
Oh boy.
Zion Williamson. For me, I'm rocking with Zion Williamson heavy. And here's going to be a consistent theme for me. As a hoop fan, as an NBA fan, if we're in a barbershop and we're having debates, one thing I really don't want to talk about is injuries. I don't want to talk about injuries, bro. Now, sometimes it's justified. You have to kind of speak on a player's injury history to
Mhm.
give your takes. But I would really like to talk about what they do when they're healthy and on the floor. And when Zion is healthy and on the floor, he's going to give you 60% field goal percentage. He's going to give you someone who is a 6'6", 270-pound man child who's going to get the basketball, going to drive right or left, and he's going to finish over big men and score the majority of his points in the paint. He's always going to be a leader in paint points. He's a
Mhm.
very, very, very underrated passer. I think Zion Williamson is one of the most underrated passers in the league because when I see him drive to the basket and big men do step up, the ones who are not scared to get banged on or have to feel that locomotive hitting them full force, the big men who do step up, guys like big men like Valanciunas and Larry Nance, they benefit from a lot of the pocket passes that Z throws.
Mhm.
A lot of the shooters like Trey Murphy, BI, CJ McCollum, even Alvarado, because the paint has to collapse or the defense has to collapse on the Zion drive, he is a really good passer at hitting these shooters and getting them open shots. So for me, I'm rocking with Z, bro.
Mhm.
He's gonna give you 21, 22 points a game on 60% field goal and probably 3, 4, 5 assists. I'm rocking with Z. And you tell me what's the narrative against him?
Bro, I mean, there's a couple. I mean, the top two that come just straight to my mind, obviously, are that boy likes to eat, and it's gonna be, it's hard, bro. I mean, he's living in New Orleans. Probably
Gumbo.
cuisine is amazing down there. And that secondly, he's a freak, bro.
It's a
Boy's a
freak.
freak. I mean, it's certified now. I mean, we know this, but I don't think that's no. It's a huge thing. Don't get me wrong, but I think that he looks to be. I watched that game Friday when they played the Nuggets, and Friday that would have been what the 12th, January 12th. They were the late West Coast, 10 p.m. Excuse me. Bro, he halftime he had 6 points. End of the game with like 30 or 32. So I mean, I don't know what his issue is. I don't know if it's a motor thing. I don't know if I think he loves the game. I wouldn't say he's like it's all he thinks about. You know what I mean? I think that he gets by on his freak athleticism. I think he is obviously very talented. You mentioned his underrated passing ability. Bro, I think collectively their team they're kind of like an OKC. You know what I mean? They have it. It's just about can they put it together. Now they got a couple older guys. Valanciunas isn't young. CJ McCollum's obviously not young, but Herb Jones, Zion, and Brandon Ingram, bro, they're a crazy three to me. Like, so I
I agree. I agree. I mean, and I agree, bro. I think first of all, like you said, Zion, he's a freak, an athletic freak on the court, and off the court, clearly he be on some freaky shit as well. Um, you know, i.e., if you don't know Mariah Mills, I believe that was her name, the girl that he was dealing with or whatever. And I understand some of the concern with Zion in terms of when you speak of food and women,
Mhm.
you can just put that in the category of distractions, right? Like he's still a young guy. I believe he's about 22, 23 years old. He did get his big deal, a 5 year, like $100 million deal. And a lot of his contract was based on certain incentives, right? For him to stay in shape, to him to play a certain amount of games every season, for him to have a certain percentage of body fat, right? So that speaks to maybe him not being as focused as a player as he should be. And I understand that criticism coming to him. My only point and why I rock with Zion so heavy is because let's speak about the game, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
I think a lot of times they let that overshadow his production. Say what you want about Zion. He's a freak, loves women, eats a lot of food, probably isn't always in the best shape. The man's a walking 22-7 on 60% field goal percentage
On a bad night.
on a bad night,
Yeah.
right? And this season, I have been myself, I've been a little critical of him because I do feel like he should be in a little bit better shape. But regardless, the talent is there, the production is there. It's just can he sustain it so that this very talented Pelicans team that you just spoke of
Mhm.
can really make a deep run. So we're going to see. We're going to see. I think it'll be interesting. So for me and you to say Bi and Zion, let's finish it with this. Do you think that those two are compatible with each other? Because I do see a lot of fans say that for them to both reach their peaks as players, it may not be together.
That's I mean, I get that point. Um, I mean, bro, with duos, we have Batman and Robin, right? So for me, it's gonna be like I think Zion. I don't know if he's ready to be Batman, bro. I don't know if Bi can be Robin, but they're gonna have to figure that out. Um, or and vice versa. I mean, I might have that completely wrong, but it looks.
Maybe
I mean,
Bi.
to me, yeah, Bi might be the alpha on that team. I don't know. But from what I'm seeing, Zion. If I was a betting man, bro, he would be um, the number one option on that team. But I think Bi has more to his game. I mean, he has more wiggle. He has more ability. Um, yeah, bro. I mean, right now they're sixth, right? They're 24-16, 1 game winning streak. They're 4 games behind first place. So I mean, obviously the West is tough. We're gonna see kind of what they have. Obviously, second half of the season, but I don't know, bro. I mean, it's kind of like now or never. I don't think CJ McCollum has a lot of years left.
Yeah, I think CJ McCollum is someone who I think he's someone who could be replaced for years down the line. For me, I think this best case scenario for the Pelicans, I think it can work between Zion and Bi.
Think so.
Because I think best case scenario, you're looking at a situation similar to Giannis and Chris Middleton
Mhm,
when they won in 2021,
mhm,
right? You have the athletic freak who uh attacks the paint, scores a lot of rim points, and is just a freak that really you have the game plan for you. Then you have the 6'8", 6'7", 6'9" shot maker, creator who you can go to in crunch time and Bi, similar to Chris Middleton. So I think best case scenario, if Zion can somehow get his level of focus and intensity and consistency and passion for the game,
mhm,
and preparation for the game, like a Giannis Antetokounmpo, Bi is already a better version of a Chris Middleton
mhm,
in a sense. If Zion can reach that level, I think we'll see the Pelicans really make deep runs and really contend for a championship. Because if Zion can do that, they have everything else. CJ McCollum, you have shooters, you have a wing shooter, an offensive minded wing, and Trey Murphy, who quiet as kept, bro. Talent wise, we're going to see about him in the next couple of years, probably be being better than what a lot of people think.
mhm.
Herb Jones on the defensive end, being an amazing defensive wing player. Great off the bench guard like Alvarado. The shooter Jordan Hawkins, who just had 30 this past
Mm,
week.
tough.
Super tough. So they have talent, Larry Nance and Valanciunas. So they have everything. It's really up to Zion to and Willie Green to be the best coach that he can be, and we'll see where they'll go. So we'll keep it locked. But Zion and Bi was good choices as players to watch, right? I love watching the Pelicans in general. They would have been my second team in terms of a favorite team